If you are looking for a fun and interesting way to start or keep a conversation going, you can never go wrong with Would You Rather questions. Would you rather questions are questions that present a person with two difficult situations and require the person to choose one of the two situations. The questions are bound to get someone thinking hard as they try to choose between the two difficult situations. To make the conversation even more interesting, you can ask why, to have the person explain why they chose one situation over the other. Playing a game of Would You Rather is a great way to pass time with friends and colleagues. It is also a great way to keep yourself and your group entertained in situations where there's not much else to do, such as during a long drive. Would You Rather questions are also a great way to learn about the other person without having to directly ask them personal questions. The answers they pick and the reasons behind their answers can give you great insights about their personal values, beliefs, and preferences. Because of this, a game of Would You Rather is also an interesting way to pass time and bond with someone you are dating. Now you know what Would You Rather questions are, and you know how much we enjoy hitting you with these questions. Here's another one for you. Would you rather know the moment of your death, or know the moment of death of the person you love the most? That's a toughie, isn't it? Scientifically, you and everyone you've ever known will someday die. According to some psychologists, this uncomfortable truth constantly lurks in the back of our minds and ultimately drives everything we do. From choosing to attend church, eat vegetables, and go to the gym to motivating us to have children, write books, and create companies. For healthy people, death usually lurks in the back of our minds, exerting its influence on a subconscious level. Most of the time, we go through our days unaware, not thinking of our morality, says Chris Feutner, a pediatrician and ethicist at the Children's Hospital in Philadelphia and the University of Pennsylvania. We cope by focusing on the things more directly in front of us. What would happen, though, if the ambiguity surrounding our own demise were taken away? What if we all suddenly were told the exact date and means of our deaths? While this is, of course, impossible, careful consideration of this hypothetical scenario can shed light on our motivations as individuals and societies, and hint at how to best spend our limited time on this earth. As always, let's try to take a look at both sides of the coin. Knowing the moment of your own death has a lot of pros over cons. Wouldn't it be easier to be prepared or ready for whatever may come? Knowing when you will pass does help you decide on how you'll spend your remaining days in this world. You can travel to as many places as you can. You can eat and drink whatever you want. You will live until you can live no longer. Being able to know your own time helps you be at peace with yourself and the people around you. Like most people say, knowledge is power. Having the gift of knowing your own time gives you the opportunity to forgive and be forgiven, and have the courage to do just about anything. Sure, it may be difficult to accept at first, but there is a silver lining. It would be like you are giving the gift of time. Not knowing means we have to be extra careful in everything we do, since we have no idea what happens in the future. Time will always keep you guessing. One of the worst feelings in the world is losing someone we love so suddenly. One day, you were just hanging out as if nothing could possibly go wrong, and the next thing you know, they're gone. Being able to know that moment of your death allows you to accept your fate early on and help the people around you accept it as well. Not many people are lucky enough to be able to say their goodbyes. You have the chance to. However scary it may be, it is easier to swallow the bitter pill of knowing your own fate. Knowing your time helps you become brave and courageous. It allows you a do-over, and you have the chance to live your life to its fullest potential. Okay, so let's set that aside. What about knowing the moment of death of the person you love the most? Is that something you would choose? Even though it's less likely an option to be chosen if you ask several people, knowing the moment of death of the person that means the most to you does have its upside too. Well, firstly, you can tell them everything you know about their fate and help them and yourself prepare for what is to come. You can give that person the chance to live their last days. It may potentially be the worst thing for you, however, you can take it as an opportunity to help make the last day of their lives more memorable. And what better way to spend it than to be with you, right? One movie that depicts the situation is the romantic movie If Only, starring Jennifer Love Hewitt and Paul Nichols. Spoiler alert! In the movie, the story starts out as a typical day for lovers, Ian and Samantha. Samantha is preparing for the concert that seals the fate of her musical career, while Ian gets ready to close a very important deal. Samantha realizes that Ian left the notes he needed for his speech and runs over to help Ian. However, ends up embarrassing him and causing Ian to not close the deal. Their night ends badly when they decide that it's time for a break. Samantha gets in a cab and drives off. In the spur of the moment, Samantha's cab encounters a fatal accident that causes her to lose her life. Devastated with the turn of events, Ian falls asleep and awakens the next morning to the voice of Samantha. Ian then realized that it was all just a vivid dream. However, Ian realizes that everything was happening according to how it already had happened in his dream. And with the opportunity to change the chain of events, Ian decided to do his day-to-day routine differently and hopefully avoid losing Samantha in the end. He was able to close the deal. Samantha had the most amazing performance, and they were able to spend the day together as if it were their last. Although Ian had a premonition that Sam dies in a car accident, the way he altered the chain of events had also changed the pattern and the outcome. Sam and Ian were able to say how much they loved each other, and Ian was able to save Samantha. Ian, however, didn't survive the accident. See, having the gift of knowing time can indeed help us, whether it is knowing our own moment of death or our loved ones. We are still given the opportunity to live and to love to the fullest. We are able to leave this earth in peace because we have lived, and yes, did we live. Having the opportunity to say goodbye is far better than leaving this world in the blink of an eye. One day you're well and alive, the next you're not. So if you ask me, I'd like to know when my moment of death is, because why the heck not? Both sides of the spectrum have their pros and cons, and no matter which side of the coin we are at, it is never an easy choice. Both choices allow us to enjoy the gift of time. How we look at the situation can determine the outcome of both scenarios. Yes, both options are painful. However, being given an opportunity to prepare, accept our fate, and say goodbye, now that is definitely something that's hard to pass. So, is this the only side of the spectrum? What about those that do not want to know their outcomes? Well, that's not really an option in the question, but for argument's sake, let's drag that in here. Given the opportunity to know our fate, a lot of people still prefer to live in oblivion and let time and nature take its course. Well, realistically, that is the only option that is available as of the moment, but this point of view is so much better in so many ways. But that's for another story time. So, would you rather know the moment of your own death or know the moment of death of the person you love the most? Let us know in the comments which one you would pick and why. If you enjoy content like this, please hit that like button and subscribe.